Well, we're in Beijing for our semifinals between RNG and Top Esports, where RNG took us to a late game, took us to a team fight, and took out game number 1. Hello and welcome back to the LPL English. My name's Hysterix, Raz, Clement at the end of the desk. Let's start things off simply. Xiahu got MVP, so well deserved after the Vladimir engage in the mid lane.
What's the damage percentage?
Kicked the boots off.
Ooh,
yeah, that's large.
Huge.
Rare to see it with Xiahu, because Uzi always has the numbers.
The damage gold efficiency one is the real one that scares me right there. Usually it's about 120% for mid laners. He did 60 extra % on that one. Even when started with gold, even in Flame Horizon, still doing the work.
What feels bad is that all of these are great stats except for the gold difference at the end of the game. You're going up against a Corki that was really only farming, and so you see plays like these where RNG was able to play a great defensive mindset, great defensive bot side of the map. Started out well by Langx, by the way. That was a quick and easy way to show you that he was defending that bottom lane tower for quite some time.
We're seeing a lot of these plays where it is RNG actually just catching Top Esports out of macro plays they're doing on the map. So I think like RNG in game 1, a lot of it does come down to the experience advantage that they had in the early game.
Yeah, in the previous play, just so you were talking about it, Corki was bot side already at the bottom lane inner tower.
This one was
This
sick.
was crazy, right? And it feels bad. I think even without the Tahm Kench swallowing you, you die even with the redemption. It was really close timing and the health wouldn't have been enough. But it's just crazy how accelerated Xiahu was this game. This is him going up against the Tahm Kench and getting obliterated.
His flanks have just been on point, and RNG really set up this Vladimir pick. If you remember in the second phase of the ban, they took away the Victor.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are they banning Victor? That is so far away in the meta. And that's your answer. They had that pick set up.
It was a great game 1 from RNG. We got to the late game. We got to a, what did I call it? A fickle situation, I think I put it as. But it was anything but. It was calm, cool, collected in the end, where it came down to a team fight. A couple of picks from Royal Never Give Up.
Yeah, and RNG is the calm team. Whenever they are in a deficit, like, in fact, a lot of the legacy that they had in 2018 was based around playing to their bottom lane, finding themselves great advantages, or at least like based off of like key picks. I remember pretty clearly when they went up against Kingzone in the MSI performance in the finals, it was based off these major team fights to claw themselves back into a game. Now this was much closer in terms of what the game was showing us, but Top Esports had windows, they lost it. RNG was able to find them. What does this say?
And Uzi made good use of that lead. 41% of the team's damage was done by him.
He hit it again.
He was up 6.4k
Wow.
above LokeN by the game's end, so equaling out all of those solo lane deficits.
Because remember, it was 3 Flame Horizons. It's rare that you ever see that in a game in League of Legends. 2
rare
on
to
Top
see
Esports.
one.
Yeah, and 1 on the side of Uzi. So that bottom lane made to pay, even though LokeN came fighting back in the end.
It's a tough call. I think what Top needs to do going into the next game, because a lot of the times when you face defeats like that, when you're having a very split push oriented team, a team that doesn't really have too many ways of just instantly going in. The Sejuani's a good one, but to the point that you made earlier on was that, well, who's the next person going to be, right? Would it be the Aurelia in that case? But how confident are you to take that fight in that situation? They might end up going back to a more team fight focused composition, because throughout the split, they've had success in multiple facets. Through split push, through team fights, they might end up going and trying to challenge RNG based off team fights in game 2.
Because it looked pretty confident in the top lane, Clement, when we saw Top Esports trying to challenge them for the mark.
Yeah, Top Esports for me, their team fight actually looked okay, but the composition deficit was definitely there in that situation. What I think they need to do is take away Xayah Rakan. It's been the best performing duo in recency for Ming and Uzi. Uzi's very safe on that champion, and Ming with initiation is just damn right scary. I would much rather see him on Enchantresses if I'm Top Esports. Morgana's not going to catch me out like that.
And one thing that we saw, as it seems like we're going into the second game pick ban, was that you can prolong those dives for a long time. Ben and LokeN were getting dove for about like 20 flat seconds.
Yeah.
Even with the Tahm Kench Ezreal, you can't really do too much when Ming's being able to charm your Tahm Kench, and then Xayah just has so much added safety. If any added turret damage hits ahead, ultimate, de-aggro.
We'll be jumping back into Summoner's Rift, or at least pick and ban. RNG on blue side once again here, and we've got very similar bans across the board. Olaf not going over to Karsa. The Aatrox we talked about, again for Langx taken away. So it's rinse and repeat with first pick for RNG.
It's been the exact same bans for Top Esports, taking away the Olaf, knowing that that has not served them well. And for Top Esports, what they need to fix is the bot lane draft. Now, there's a lot of champions that LokeN can go for. He's been known to play very aggressive with his Lucian and his Kalista, but against the likes of Uzi, we typically see him in a more defensive mode just between them.
Take a look at this hover. I mean, they could right now take away Xayah Rakan right from the get-go. So the conversation that we were having, they were facing a lot of pressure. Instead of looking for that Lucian counter pick and allowing RNG to even have a hand at that, I don't even think they want to pick the Rakan alone either. In fact, they're just going to take up the Xayah, force RNG to pick up a weak lane. That's an instant lock-in from the Ezreal.
Uzi's Ezreal.
Wow,
there you go, Tom Kench. It's reverse lanes by the look of it, with Rakan still available. No-brainer for Top Esports, and we've flipped the script.
And this is very interesting because RNG has to carry from another lane in the early game. Which lane is that going to be?
See, here's the thing. I agree with you. But whenever it comes to Uzi's Ezreal, he just finds outright leads based off of not missing his Qs. And Tom Kench has a lot of poke right there too. So the range advantage that you have, and then the ability to save yourself from the Rakan engage that you have in the bottom side of the map, might just give the 2v2 advantage over to Uzi and Ming just based off of the execution alone. So that's something that perhaps RNG still play towards the bot side, have the opposite mindset of what the Ezreal provides for your team.
It's just really insane to think how entwined Uzi and Ezreal are as champions and players. He's been known to be a great Ezreal. Even when he was going up against Caitlyn matchups, he was still able to take CS leads when he first came out. Very well known for that champion. Now, Top Esports are going to have the counter pick here, so RNG, if they want a carry pick in another lane, they're going to have to do it blind.
The only thing that's remained the same are the junglers for RNG and top pick.
Yeah, and so take a look at the bans. Exactly the same. Top Esports going straight towards the Mordekaiser and Karma. The Karma is definitely going to be a good hit towards Xiahu. So Xiahu now needs to decide on his champion. I love his Syndra historically. I think he's always been such a great Syndra player that can really take advantage at the lane. Let's see what it ends up being.
Akali against Knight.
That's a Zoe match.
That's a Zoe.
What the hell are you looking at?
In the back of my mind, I'm like, there's two big champions for these guys.
Maybe when
Akali
she grows
and
up.
Zoe. All right.
Maybe when she grows
She's
up.
120 racks.
All right, fair enough.
But Zoe, you're right. Excuse me, big blunder. Xiahu on Zoe is still a very big champion for him. You'll see the cannon paired nicely too.
So RNG are still looking to have pick potential in their composition, and going for Zoe does shore up that point. However, their team fight is much weaker with this composition. You don't see a lot of frontline capabilities, and this will give Top Esports a better chance when it comes to the 5v5.
There we go. I love the Aurelia pickup. I want to see where it ends up going. I would expect it to be going towards the mid lane. Vladimir also has a pretty positive matchup. I'd say around level 9 when he's able to get max rank on his Q and start trading against the cannon. But that's the expectation that's going to be an AP cannon rather than an AD cannon. Interested to see what we're going to be coming out here from Langx.
Yep, the Vladimir matchup definitely does swing based on the itemization from the cannon. If he's going his own way, going the split push AD version, then yes, he will win out. But if he's going the AP, then Vladimir does have the sustain edge in that one. So we're going to see a very similar composition from Top Esports where they should have the solo lead in terms of the Vladimir versus the cannon, but later on, team fights, I think this time the draft is much better for Top Esports.
Yes, so the big takeaway when we were talking about what their focus is going into Game 2 was a heavy focus on team fighting. Because in Game 1, they weren't getting it going. I mean, a lot of the times they looked at it and said that we just outright get outscaled in a lot of these facets. Even in front to back, the Vladimir was way too big. This time, Zoe's going to have a lot of problems when there are this many champions talking about the Sejuani who can try and get an ultimate when you're blinking straight back. The Aurelia, who's going to be a little bit insistent on trying to get you. There's a lot from Top Esports side that can now look for those team fights.
But I know for RNG fans, they'll see this and say, Xiahu on a hard carry that can snowball a lead or completely fall off. The momentum is on him after Game 1.
I gotta give the mid jungle over to Top Esports. I give the bot lane to Top Esports, and I actually think the top lane can win out as well. Top Esports, for me, this is the exact draft that they're looking for.
Yep, but Hysterics, I know what you're thinking. Xiahu and Zoe comes one-on-one. Like, at the end of the day, he's been able to perform so well in the champion, you got to believe that he can exceed that.
And then Knight has Aurelia. The mid lane matchup we set up is there. It's exciting here in the semifinals. It's an RNG lead after Game 1. But you don't expect it to end here. You expect to see if Top Esports can take us to even footing. As the fans come out here in Beijing, I know our eyes will wander over to XX in the rune choice straight away. Something that we saw a lot in Season 8 when Sejuani was very prominent. We got the Fleet footwork here on Summoner's Rift once again.
Yep, a lot of the times we ended up seeing Fleet footwork come back when Trundle Jungle was definitely the go-to. In this case, just being able to, be pretty topped up throughout your jungle clear is the go-to. I think he's going to be trying to look for a lot of the 2v2s early on, wants to be able to have that even footing.
There's a lot of mind games happening in the runes this time around. A double minion dematerializers from the solo lanes on RNG and a vertical jungle start as well. So going back to your point of staying topped up, Xiahu really needs to be aware of his own life because RNG are already set up to leave lane and hunt that pig down.
After the nerfs to minion dematerializer, we saw teams just completely move away from that. So the fact that you're now looking through like those two lanes and that's now the go-to says a lot. Now Karsa can look towards topside a little bit more reliably.
Or even look mid as he just walks through. Knight with level 1, Xiahu had the advantage, and it's just going to be the poke down with advantage now to RNG's mid. There's actually 0 CS on Knight, by the way, so we'll see when this wave crashes in.
I just want to see what Xiahu picked up, because that's always my question in Zoe matchups. How well is the Aurelia going to do if it's a redemption early on? Triumph actually being the go-to here, and also a lot of tenacity going into the precision tree. So that's going to mean a lot going into later team fights. If he gets locked down by Zoe, so much easier for him to move out before the Q ends up striking him.
We're seeing a pretty defensive build from Xiahu in terms of the summoners, bringing the exhaust, saying, you know what, I'm probably not going to need the ignite in this one. Just don't kill me. Please let me survive this superior mid-jungle duo coming in from top.
I love that you get a smite this early on as a Zoe mid. The shove continues on. I was just taking note of XX's pathing. He went back towards the Krugs in the top side and looking to kind of stop the momentum as Karsa goes for his double. Now triple buff available for the Jarvan.
So this is what I'm worried about here now for RNG, because Langx in this case is going to be pushing off the lane. And with Sejuani being on this side of the map, no vision in the area, they should be aware that that's a go-to gank for him. XX can set up top side, but that's a lot of damage on a LokeN.
You weren't wrong about Uzi's Ezreal.
Yeah, it hurts. Ben tried to save him on that one, but it still hit LokeN.
I love that we're in the reverse lane. We see Uzi and Ming play it out, and it's very different.
And I just wanted to say, that's not really supposed to happen. Usually you see the Xayah with the wave clear potential pushing out forward, but this time around, CS lead does go to Ezreal.
It's all about the jungle matchup here, and a lot of the times, Uzi and Ming can play like this when it's Karsa always near him, and that's the case. But guess who snuck behind them?
Wow, Xiahu using that path so well. He is unspotted here, but it's still going to be a 3v3.
Karsa has the level lead. Let's see. He goes in first. The flash forced out, and because of that, XX still behind the lane. Will he get engaged?
There's no way XX could come into this one now, because while you're right, XX was unspotted. Same for Karsa. You just have the expectations that Karsa is going to be in the area. Oh, wait a second, Xiahu.
Yeah, he might be level 5. A flash away from the Arctic Assault. Didn't hit anyway, but he wanted to be safe.
There we go. You're starting to see some great action coming in from XX, but seems like Ben and LokeN are in danger.
There's no flash on LokeN, remember. Double flag and drag knock up. There's Burst Blood looking for the second. They flash forward. They want the auto. Uzi almost dies underneath turret, but he'll survive with First Blood going to Ming.
15 HP off of Ben, and this is an RNG. Just their bread and butter play. They freeze the bot lane wave, they force the Xayah to walk forward, and guess what? Karsa is always there.
Another play coming in from XX.
Can Langx survive? This happened last time, but Karsa's not going to be here to save him. Instant flash away again, and XX has now burnt 2 solo lane flashes from RNG.
Yeah, you want to feel good about it. But the fact that they set up towards that bot lane gank, and it failed so magnificently, like Karsa was there for some time, they had anticipated for him to be in the area, but not to be making the first strike at the bot side of the map. So he was there first, it hurt, they were able to get a kill off of that, and now you're right, at least they were able to get a flash on both mid and top side. XX can look towards the top lane later on.
We'll see what happens though, because Xiahu is in the vicinity. We'll just drop a ward instead of making a commitment to the top side of the map.
And we're going to see top esports really try to focus back onto that top side. For their bottom, as long as they can have the wave pushing into themselves, I think they're going to be fine. Even with the Xayah Recon, I don't see them trying to push CS advantages that hard, or they're probably not able to. So top esports right now, you know, it's a very clear go-ahead on the top side, and Karsa's going to take advantage of that.
Infernal first here for RNG. Now XX is moving down, but Xiahu having the shove into lane will be able to push him off.
And that's the weakness for a team that is so focused on solo lane advantages is the Dragon pickup for teams that are bot side centric. Let's see if XX can do anything about it.
Knight is level 6, by the way, has the Vanguard's Edge available. Xiahu's in a lot of trouble. There's the Permafrost. The Force Duet won't land, and XX not near the Dragon as the ult finally comes out. Ming in control as Karsa survives. The Smite comes through and the TP to secure.
That's the issue. RNG is always going to commit to the play, while top are not going to commit the members necessary for the fight. And so at the end of the day, RNG has gotten the first Dragon. You're certainly going to be seeing them play for the second Dragon. It's in Mountain, and top esports are already in a bad place in Game 2.
At the very least, Knight, once again, Clement, has a CS lead. It's starting to build with one of the solo lanes for top.
Yeah, that definitely seemed like a trust fall coming in from Xiahu. No flash, but still able to walk through River against the Sejuani and still find the Devour there. And that just really goes to show you what RNG is all about. A lot of times...
Oh my god.
A lot of times they're about this as well. Just chunking people down in lane. The synergy has always been a plus on their side.
It's the reason why he's gone for the Sheen first. A lot of them end up doing that for the lane strength. But take a look at this. We were already concerned about Xiahu not having flash. And now is the prime target. Let's see if he can thin out the wave.
Not spotted out. The Glacial Prison not available, but Flash with Arctic Assault. Here comes 369, but they're not going to overcommit. They want the turret plating instead.
All right. Remember, he has double exhaust, by the way. Just, you know, Zoe things. Can exhaust two members. That's fine.
But you call that a mechanic?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Lucky mechanic at that.
But is able to keep him safe. And so Xiahu in this situation is now safe. Has himself Magic Pen boots just right from the get-go. Extra movement speed to get him away from those situations. And now we're back at step one. Uzi and Ming are pummeling the bot side tower, and the members underneath it have themselves an advantage to do it to it.
And Langx's having a great time on the top side. Meanwhile, he's poking down to Vladimir, who made the roam, who is now losing out on CS and turret plating. RNG through these cross-map plays have a 2K gold lead at 8 minutes in the game.
369 is so far behind the buy. The champion itself is fine, but he doesn't have the items to back up. And what I wanted to say the biggest advantage for RNG is actually the jungler. He's already up 3 camps onto Karsa. This is going to allow him to just make ganks without fear of being counter-ganked because he's so damn tanky.
Ooh. Using his ultimate there just to keep topped up, but at least he should be actually... This is actually a pretty large one. The next wave's going to be coming in, so he's going to be losing 2 waves if he ends up basing off this one. So it's a lot happening for Vladimir in the top side of the map, where now both side lane matchups for RNG are miles ahead. Especially, not even just talking about the CS advantage, but amount of auto attacks he's been able to get through, really piling up the Klepto procs.
You can see 369 backs away anyway. The wave going to be crashing in. XX is towards the top side of the map right now, so RNG can keep pushing bottom while Karsa and Xiahu are making a move.
This is a great move because there's no teleports on top esports. No help is on the way, and the 4v2's coming.
It's happening again, but Xiahu is not making the full commitment. Rotating back around to the mid lane. Well, they don't need to. RNG is still pushing it.
At this state, RNG just needs to keep, you know, these lanes as if they are, like bubbles, where Uzi and Ming are creating natural leads. The same can be said for Langx, and you just try and keep Xiahu available and, of course, just alive. I mean, there's a lot of people gunning for his head. But at this state, it's top esports that are slowly bleeding out. They still have a great composition to look for that one fight.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's getting further and further away. They need to fight for the next dragon. I feel like if RNG finds themselves the Mountain Dragon, especially with how creative they are as a team, it's going to be too far gone.
That's 1.1 gold lead, 1.1k gold lead on the Ezreal already just from the early ganks. The CS might not look that different, but Kleptomancy and the assists and the turret platings are starting to add up. And once again, the Zai is actually supposed to win out with the push in this matchup. The clean cuts is going to go through the entire minion wave, but somehow Uzi, just with his poke through the minions, has been able to reverse it.
You can see top esports getting deeper vision towards the red side here, trying to impact and get behind the bottom lane of RNG. For now, the push will continue. RNG will continue, as you said, Brad, slowly winning out. And that mountain is a minute away, so top are committing.
This is what we're waiting for. Nice defensive pings out here too, so RNG recognizes that this is available, and it's the one underappreciated point about RNG's playstyle, because they get jungle attention so frequently that you forget what they look like when they are on the weak side of the map. Uzi and Ming instantly fall back. They already had the wave shoved up there, so they realized that they can just back away. They already had a decent enough advantage. They don't need to lose it all to a play from Knight and XX.
And once again, top esports walk towards Rift Herald a little bit late. No vision. Karsa's going to get this right now, and And we'll see if it gets dropped in the top side once again.
I call that play "Don't BS a BSer" because RNG definitely know that trick very, very well. They react to it perfectly. Even though there wasn't vision, they could sense the 4v2 coming to save that bot lane, and perfect response, they take the Herald.
And now Ming's on the roam. It'll be Uzi who goes back to the bottom lane. It'll be Xiahu who gets the shove out, and Ben and XX down here as well. Mountain has now spawned.
There we go. We were talking about it, that this is the one that top needs to fight for. At least they're here, ready for the skirmish, and it's Aurelia that's leading the charge. Needs to always have that mid lane shoved out so she can put Xiahu in a tough position. If Xiahu gets ready and he is able to toss the first stone, or in this case, you know, the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, then it's far easier for RNG to look for those fights. Let's see what ends up happening here.
I mean, if Uzi can get something on the 1v1, maybe something else happens. But Dragon started here from top Esports, and Karsa's behind it. Well, maybe not, just clearing vision for now.
I'm really worried about XX's status in this game right now. He's not having the Aftershock, and he's being beaten heavily in farm. This is a Sejuani that is going to get melted come into the team fights.
You're going to see another Flame Horizon on the jungle this game, Clement.
Oh boy, I would like to see if it happens.
Dragon going to be started here in full vision. Karsa behind them. And he's going to opt to back away, it looks like, and just leave it over.
Well, they know they're on it. They don't necessarily have the vision on it. But just having, you know, the information that multiple members were rotating towards the play, safe enough for RNG to recognize. Let's play to the next Dragon, especially since you start cashing out on a double Infernal.
Yeah.
So top Esports needs to consistently play towards this bot side now.
And RNG are going to use that tempo advantage to take down the first tower in the bot lane. You could see them ping it down. Ezreal already has that item buy lead over the bot lane from top Esports, so I love giving over the Mountain Drake to a losing team.
How did that hit, Clement? I'm going to be asking that question quite a lot this game. It seems as Xiahu pops down Ben. Minion Wave will crash in, Rift Herald with it as well, and look at this, Uzi gets 410 gold.
Yeah, to be fair, Ben and LokeN needed to get out of there anyways. Too many members on the bot side of the map, so we're back to the same position we were in game one, where RNG gets a significant lead bot side and now can move Ming and Uzi across the map. The more important of the two really being Ming. Ming and Karsa can now start to invade upon XX's jungle. You can't do too much about that.
I like it. We're taking a look at the win rate with lead at 15 from RNG. 95.5% if they have a gold lead over 15.
To be fair, they have a very high win rate overall. So looking at the stats, no surprises there. What I'm seeing from the stat sheet that's actually quite interesting is they only have a 51% chance to get a gold lead at 15 minutes, which means a lot of the times their solo lanes are actually quite far behind in the game. This is not one of those times, though.
We saw that in game number one. It was when RNG solo laners fell behind. We talked a lot about the Flame Horizons, where Uzi was the only person really on charge in Summoner's Rift.
It looks like it's going to be a Trinity Force coming out of Uzi. So a lot of it's just going to be around the damage.
Okay.
It's really nice to see, just because, I mean, if you're just looking at what RNG comp is really about, you don't expect an AP Ezreal at this stage. You already have both your solo lanes building AP, and they're just going to be doing a lot in these team fights. So it works out well for him. Something to take note of is that the lane assignments will have Uzi primarily sectioned through mid lane. He's going to be able to poke out whoever ends up meeting him, and then they're going to be using Tom Kench to cut off on side lanes. That's a long lane down bot lane, so anybody from top Esports that ends up picking up that wave have to be aware if Tom Kench goes into Fog of War.
This is getting so damn scary for RNG. They're already up 4,000 gold, and before 20 minutes, if you get that 6K gold lead, the Baron is instantly gone post 20 minutes. So top Esports are really looking at the next team fight, or the next break, the Infernal Drake, to be the turning point of this game. If they don't get it, RNG most likely walk away. Because
it's almost that 5,000 gold lead on the board right now. Infernal up in 230, and we're just looking at the turret plating gold that went over, and how much of it went over to Langx on the cannon, over to Uzi on the Ezreal. Where they're accelerated with their first item, and they're going to be giving even more gold over to this Ezreal with the top lane outer.
And there's just not much of a response. I mean, if XX is going to be playing towards the Vladimir, what is that turret take going to be even looking like? He's just essentially trying to force Langx off the wave. But he's been playing respectfully all game long, and so if Langx looks at the rest of his map, he's completely fine with that. In fact, right now, LokeN and Ben are getting evicted out of the mid lane.
Yeah, getting pushed out. That means the outer is now available for RNG to push.
The biggest thing for top Esports right now is to make sure Knight gets enough gold. I don't care if he takes all of the Raptors, all of the Wolves. He needs that Triforce before the Infernal comes up.
Look at this.
I don't know if this is the bait or if RNG can take this. Ming gets locked down with a Glacial Prison. Vanguard's edge out as well. Teleport getting channeled in the backline as XX interrupts. The cannon can't get in with the ultimate as RNG turn for the engage.
Wow.
Four. The cannon doesn't even need to get in at this point. RNG have found their pick in the team fight onto the Vladimir. Xiahu gets flash after flash, and now they can push in.
Yeah, big wave here for RNG to look for this outer turret. And it was just all off of what was top going in, but not having the damage to follow up on. LokeN was just not a part of the play. And it sucks to see that RNG was able to just turn the play on a dime and look for that early tower.
Talk about LokeN not being in it. I'm really looking at 369. He gets the Hemo Plague on 2 targets that are already within their own tower range. So there's no follow-up there. And top esports desperation play falls flat.
I mean, Ming survived for so damn long. This tanky Tahm Kench in the early game did his work.
Yeah, you're right about Vladimir, the position that he was in. He was pretty much instantly out of the fight. And a great cataclysm from Karsa.
Just lining up the shots for Xiahu to knock down, and this man is running wild with 3 flashes going forward underneath that tower.
And now we're set up after that play. RNG have themselves a 6k gold lead, a double Infernal in the horizon in 15 seconds.
And if you look at the composition RNG has, Zoe and Ezreal, the amount of poke is insane, and they're going to be centered through mid lane. It's going to be really tough for LokeN to be able to pick up the mid lane waves. He's going to be picking them up at his own inner turret, because if he was able to make one misstep, that's a Sleepy Trouble Bubble aimed at you.
And the problem with that Sleepy Trouble Bubble is everyone dies to it. On top esports, there's not a tanky member that can face check into this Dragon Brush. And they're actually burning teleports just to make sure they have an advantage here, but that's still not to be. RNG are here in full force.
I mean, LokeN might get the root down. Uzi might be caught out, eaten up by Ming. There's 2 members in mid lane, but here comes Cannon with a 2-man ultimate. 369 goes into the puddle, but look at the poke coming through. Uzi survived. Langx does as well. He arcane shifts forward, and 369 tries to recover the fight, but it's over. The Blade Caller almost takes down Langx, but look at the poke. Xiahu gets the double, and RNG win another fight.
And an instant response from Langx to come and save Uzi and Ming in that situation. That was clutch.
So well done on the side of RNG. They definitely anticipated that. They could see the teleports incoming through the fog of war, and they were ready to respond.
And after what was the save towards the Infernal Dragon, Top Esports trying to challenge it, they'll now lose it anyway, and RNG will be up almost 9,000 gold.
And that's what it's all about here for RNG. Because they play towards Dragons so much that when the RNG finally comes in hot and you have to deal with multiple Infernal Dragons, it forces top to make decisions like these. It looked good, but you realize that members are here to look for that fight. So Langx comes in with an exceptional ultimate, and then you look towards Xiahu.
Triple.
Yeah, that was great there from Karsa as well. And then, you know, Xiahu is able to find that outset pick, being able to take down XX.
Does anyone want a top esports skewer? Because that's what Karsa is going to deliver to you.
Doesn't look like there's much meat on the bone, Clement. Unfortunately, at this point, you're not getting your money's worth because it's still only those first items across the board. It's the Essence Reaver, not even the Trinity Force for Knight, while RNG are onto their 2nd, 3rd, and the next fight's going to be even more brutal with a triple Infernal on the line.
Yeah, we saw it in both games. I mean, RNG is a team that just tries their hardest to stack dragons regardless of what it is.
Yeah.
And if you find yourself in a double, you know, in this case, a triple Infernal game, then you are forcing the enemy team to play out of the ordinary. See what we end up missing here on the replay. That was a good pick off, but
Oh no.
Oh no, that's not what we don't want to see that. We don't want to see that at all. I'm sorry, Ben.
I was wondering why Uzi had the Cutlass and he had his 2nd kill as Karsa comes a moment too late to stop the back here of XX. But
when the hell did that happen?
That looked to be in the other replay.
Oh boy.
You got to commend how Xiahu has played this matchup. He's willing to give up the CS, but he never allowed Knight to snowball away from that. And even though XX threw a lot of early game resources in, no solo lanes are getting out of control.
That ward just paid for itself. Karsa's over the wall, the trouble bubble a threat. And good warding from RNG means they can set up for the play.
And that's the issue when you're going up against a Zoe in deep invades here. If you're trying to make that defense on the wards, well, that Sleepy Trouble travels a long distance.
Yep.
And will place as a trap and really make it difficult for your carry to walk through. We haven't seen too much of LokeN this game for that very reason. He can't do anything. The range advantage is actually just so large on RNG's side. And a lot of the times, he's just playing on extra backup, waiting for 369 to apply the damage.
And we're going to get to that point where we see the QSS tax paid for LokeN as well. So while he has that one item, you're wondering when it will come through. Does RNG now make a move towards the top side turret? 4 members here. Langx does not have teleport and is walking up the mid lane.
Seeing the damage come in, and Top Esports did set up for a Fnatic rush right there, but was spotted out by RNG. Very easy to face check for them, and RNG, they can play the map however they want to. They do have the split push advantage. I really admire how Langx navigated that lane in the top side. Even though he got his flash burned early, he was able to win that lane very hard against 369.
Speaking of Langx, Rabadon's death cap second, by the way, so none of this Void stuff, none of this Morellonomicon. You
None
got
of
the
that
full
Infinity Edge.
Yeah.
AP. But I love this because when you have a triple Infernal on the line, when you have base stats, that's when the magic comes through with this Dragon.
That's some 2 minutes away, by the way. If you're looking at top, they want to be able to at least get some wave clear through mid lane to deal with that. But Uzi is so strong at this stage, having his Muramana picked up and so close towards his Blade of the Rune King. But the Bilgewater Cutlass will keep you in the fight, so you're already in a tough position if you're even trying to contest the wave. So it's an issue. You're always at your inner turret. And so you really can't contest for the vision that RNG has towards the objective.
And Top Esports just don't have tools to to brush check. They don't have any skill shots that they can throw in that gives them vision here. So they're going to be walking into close quarters combat with RNG that is 10k ahead of them and looking at triple Infernal Drakes. Very hard to deal with.
Oh, let's see what we're dealing with. There's no way 369 wants to fight this, by the way. He doesn't have the damage. Yeah, he doesn't have the experience. He doesn't have the damage. So Rabadon's death cap on towards Langx, but he's watching him.
He's tracing him.
I see you.
And now he's going to wait and come out at the opportune moment. Remember that Vladimir, still almost 2 items, can still find a flank and a recovery fight for Top Esports. But Ben being here has to be careful. We'll be able to grand entrance away while 369 is setting himself up and Top Esports to get this steal away Infernal.
Everything's just waiting for RNG to clear out that Raptor vision, and then they're ready to go. They just have so much damn damage here that they could actually decide to fork Top Esports. Top Esports, you know what? You can take the third Infernal Drake. I could still just pick up the Baron off of that.
That's true.
So right now what Top wants to do, they just want to be able to hit at least some of the damage breakpoints that we're talking about. So specifically, LokeN wants to get to his Infinity Edge. That's something he requires fairly desperately, especially with Blade of the Rune King being picked up by Uzi. And then you look towards, 369. They're just trying to find that key item post, the early item you got for CDR. So at this stage in the game, I'm looking towards like Rabadon's death cap. That would be a really good purchase for him. But let's see where he ends up going.
Engage here from XX, trying to find himself Xiahu. 369 was there as well. That's a lot burnt. Uzi over the wall.
Wow.
XX gets burnt down, and meanwhile Xiahu does the damage on the back end as Uzi now re-engages. Here comes the Abyssal Voyage on top of them. LokeN at half health, XX low. They flash forward. Langx finds the lightning, and that's already 2 kills done. Top Esports gets slaughtered again.
No LokeN and Ben. You're just going to be giving a lot away, which is going to be the inhibitor and a lot of pressure towards Infernal and Baron. There's actually so much on the line here for Top.
Inhibitor's going to drop down here. RNG have done the damage. Respawn time are not there for 20 seconds for the AD carry, and RNG make their choice.
I do want to see RNG actually try to go back towards the Baron play a little bit more. I think that's the more impressive one out of the 2 objectives here. But they do spot Ezreal splitting up, so Top Esports do have a chance to catch RNG unawares here.
Not if Knight dies getting hit by the Trouble Bubble. Good dodge there by Knight, but RNG clear out the vision and now hovering around the triple Infernal.
The terrain around bot side works well for RNG. Nice pick on towards Knight. And it's such an easy objective for a triple Infernal. This is what you want to go for. Let's see if, anything comes through from Top Esports. They're desperate.
They know that XX and Ben are there. They spotted them out on vision. Langx is going to corner them down, force them out. Triple Infernal at 24 minutes. RNG now have the map to themselves.
This is getting really worrisome for Top. It's a worrying trend, some would say. You're at a stage in this series and you expect it to be incredibly competitive. And to their credit, they are performing competitively.
Yes.
Problem is, now you're staring at bottom of the barrel. It feels like it's going to be a 2-0 to start the series off. They need to dig deep here. Taking a look at this, it was a nice challenge. The issue was Karsa finding the back end, Xiahu being able to get instant pick onto Ben and the follow-up.
That was just so damn telegraphed from Top Esports, and you can see why they're doing that play. They don't have any vision control of the Dragon River side, and they have to charge in and force a Sejuani ultimate catch. Xiong doesn't even get the ult off before he's tagged by Xiahu's Sleepy Trouble Bubble. That was such a good snipe from him.
There's not a member in RNG right now that is not a threat to Top Esports. Level 14 cannon, 2 items on him. 2 items on the mid lane, level 13 Zoe with a Banshee's Veil. And now Uzi has Blade of the Ruined King. RNG only need 1 member to land their skill shots.
We finding that pig.
The next X hovers away.
We're waiting. This is the best game. This is the game where top don't know what's about to hit them.
I reckon you have no
find out.
idea at this point. Ming brings Karsa in, nukes down with the Cataclysm. LokeN burnt down. Here comes the Slicing Maelstrom as well. Ben goes in optimally as they get a good ult on the backside, but the Vanguard's Edge doesn't achieve anything. Ben will die as well. And with another Trouble Bubble landing, get ready. Xiahu and the rest of RNG want those last 2 kills.
Oh my god. They're being zoned out of their own base.
Make it
Yeah,
soft.
come by. I want to, yeah, get over here.
And we're staring down the barrel. 11-0, gentlemen. A 2-0 start here to the series. RNG, the only way it wasn't a perfect game was with that Mountain Dragon. As Top Esports lose both Nexus turrets, it'll be match point for RNG to go to Worlds, to go to the finals. They're 1 step away.
And no one expected the series to be this quick. This is when you look towards Top, their coaching staff and all, and expect something different. They tried, by the way. They went towards a more team fight heavy composition. But at the end of the day, RNG were just more cleaner. In a lot of the fights, they were able to counter-engage off of Karsa so easily. It's a tough one here for Top.
And a lot of these issues are going to be hard to fix because they don't really stem from the draft. They actually stem from the IDs on the players. That bot lane completely destroyed with a matchup that doesn't get the push. I know.
So I'm going to recall a certain series in a playoff game.
Okay, Russ.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Summer of 2018. That was RNG versus Top Esports. And that was the fastest game of the year on that one. That was when Top Esports had a completely different lineup with Korn in tow. They've made such a huge change in the preseason just to find themselves back in step 1 because of RNG's dominance. This is kind of crazy. You don't expect things like that, really.
I really love how RNG is avoiding the topside heavy focus of Top Esports this time. Double ranged matchups into the top, and they're actually coming out very, very safe. They're willing to drop CS. Even though with double flashes burned, there was no kills gained by Xiahu, and Xiahu fell so far behind in the itemization. At one point, Jarvan, Karsa was 1 full Gargoyle Stone Plate ahead of the Cinderhulk.
Yeah, and this is the evolution we were talking about for teams like RNG. Because if we were just talking about regular season strengths, Top Esports performed much better.
Yes.
But the issue was the one question mark we had for RNG was Langx. And Langx answered that emphatically. That team fight performance he had off his cannon, not only did he perform well in lane because of the matchup, but also he was playing incredibly respectfully to a lot of the weak side plays that, you know, Top Esports are known for and tried to hunt for. So good luck to Top now because they can't find that top difference that we expected to be the case.
That's true. It's amazing. Langx coming into the series. Xiahu coming into his element in this series. In both games, I think we can say this is the Xiahu we wanted to see running into playoffs.
And this is what we've seen for both of these teams. Why, with how dominant Top looked in the regular season, that across the board we went RNG.
Yeah.
In fact, you and Frost, I ended up getting the number for Frost. She expected it to be a 3-2 just because of, you know, once again, faith in how Top Esports would be able to perform, but also equal faith that RNG would just be the better team. So it's not done yet. I remember a certain LEC match last night that went the distance. And
it started with a 2-0, that's
but
right.
at least there was an expectation there for, you know, the opposite team to be able to perform.
Yes.
We need to see that here from Top.
Down 0-2, Top Esports need the recovery. We'll have a break to see if they can do it going towards Game 3.